My name is Jeff Martin. I'm the creator and executive director of True Dungeon. I've been doing it for 13 years. I would just say it's a immersive live action fantasy experience where you get to kind of play and immerse yourself into like a classic medieval fantasy adventure.
My name is Stuart O. I am one of the True Dungeon directors. So I started out my first year as a blue hand, so kind of working behind the scenes, working props, helping guests, and then kind of became a DM, and then eventually a trainer, and eventually was asked to be a director a few years ago.
This year we have over 270 volunteers that help us install the event, run it, and then dismantle it on Sunday.
You know, we have a lot more NPCs this year, and an NPC will be a person in full costume. It helps with that immersion, and we're having them follow the party for the first few rooms. So you start out and suddenly this drow priestess comes in and starts talking to you in your training room and gives you kind of the opening monologue, and suddenly is following you as part of the first few rooms of the story. You're really seeing some excitement from the players because they get that extra time and that extra immersion from these great actors we have.
They're fools! They could have wielded such power if they had assisted the Mind Flayer in his pursuit for the Teeth of Kadar. And now, he is in the astral planes, claiming them now! Without me, he had nothing!
Now I'm angry because the Mind Flayer is going to get the Teeth of Kadar and the astral planes. And I'm basically stuck trying to kill this party in my room. We've had several total party kills today in my room. Very, very challenging room.
Yeah, this is my 5th year. This is great. I love True Dungeon. Jeff is a brilliant man.
We work very hard. It takes us 3 days to build this because we want it to be as immersive as possible. So when they walk through that door, the first thing they do is just kind of stand in awe, and kind of we want to immerse them the whole time. So if you notice this year, we actually reversed our dungeon. So when they walk in, we have, it's about a 100-yard walk through a kind of a corridor that gets them into the field. Right? So we have music going, the lights are down, the sound effects are out. Once a person gets down to the end, they check in, and they have, if they've never played, or for anybody, they get 30 minutes of training. That's why it works for everybody. You can be a seasoned player or have never played a day in your life of this type of game. We spend 24 minutes with the players, teaching them how the characters work, and they get to choose their class, meet their party. There will be anywhere between 6 to 10 people in your party, depending on how many people have purchased in. And then you have 12 minutes in a training room where you get to practice your particular skill set. So rogues have hand-eye coordination games, kind of like Operation in a sense. Wizards get to memorize items, fighters get to practice sliding, etc. We tell people when they come in to play, don't think about, if you're a tabletop gamer, don't think about what you play as a gamer, because you have kind of a mindset for it. We want to see your natural skills. We tell people if they have really good hand-eye coordination, play the fighter types. They're going to be sliding down that table. If you have really good memory, that kind of your question, then we often tell people to play a spellcaster, a bard, a wizard, a cleric, the druid, because we test you in the game, not that you're going to have to memorize spell books or something of the sort. We have a class test for every class. So for wizards, let's say a wizard or a cleric, you're going to have a memory skill test where the cleric has to look at some beads. They get 12 minutes in the training room to memorize a series of beads. And when you go to heal somebody, I'm going to ask you, show me the bead of bless. And if you get the right bead off the chain of about 15 beads, you get a bonus to that. And so with the wizard, you're going to have a plaque on the wall of the planes of existence, and when they come up and say, I'm going to cast magic missile, we're going to tell them, show me the plane of fire, and they might have to go over to this board and memorize where that is on that location of the board. If they get it right, bonus to their damage. After that, you enter into the dungeon, and it's 7 rooms, 12 minutes apiece, and it's go, go, go. You have to solve puzzles to get to the next room. Combat gets going, the music's going. I can't explain it. You have to just kind of experience it for yourself. So combat here, there's no boffer weapons, not throwing tennis balls at anyone of the sort. Combat is all done on kind of a shuffleboard system where people will get treasure, right? Every good game has to have some treasure, so we have tokens in our game. And in the tokens are used to put in a sliding puck, and it's like a miniaturized shuffleboard system where you're sliding down at a target at the other end of the table. And then we have scoring points on that, and we add in the dice and scoring points plus the tokens they have to buff their character, and that's how we do combat. And as a DM, we do have the classic D20 to roll back at the characters. Tokens were kind of one of those add-ons that were kind of came around through Jeff's just idea, like any good adventure, you want to get a hoard of treasure as you game, right? So they kind of developed over time. You don't have to have tokens to win the game. In fact, we have a lot of players who come in and they call it the naked run, basically. And they come in, they'll bring in just one token. They'll bring in just a dagger. Or they do what they call a closed deck run, where basically you are given 10 tokens when you, as part of your price of admission, and they will just crack that open, and whatever they have, they run with. You trade with your partners to make sure you're outfitted correctly, but by no means do you have to have those to succeed. It's really a test of your teamwork and your own wits.
So what we do is we allow people to send back the tokens they don't really want, the common ones usually, and they can trade them in for limited edition tokens that they only could get through that system. So it's kind of a way that people can reuse some of their unwanted tokens, and they can trade it back and forth amongst other players. So it really makes the collecting more fun, and it goes on year round. People will trade, transmute all year long. We get orders every week.
To survive these, it's all about teamwork. Actually, as the DM or someone in the shadows, we have some of the most fun watching parties who you have lots of individuals who think they are the master gamer. Those parties actually do very poorly because they're all very independent. They'll be 3/4 of the way through a puzzle, suddenly says, I know how to do it, and they jump in, they start messing it all up. You have to work together, and so it's sometimes the teams who don't know each other and kind of cooperate, those are the teams that have the most fun and most success.
Most of the time there's a death, at least in the party, but usually somebody in the party will survive towards the end through the last adventure. But it changes year from year. I would say roughly though, over the general history, about half the parties see a successful conclusion.
Jeff is he's a mastermind. I don't know how else to describe it. The puzzles, 12 years, there's usually about 10 rooms he has to kind of come up with new puzzles for. So just think about the number of puzzles he's created, and I would have to say, well, I can't think of any that I would call easy by any sense. I mean, you definitely have to be a clever person. He gives a few hints now and then throughout the year if you're kind of an avid reader of the forums, True Dungeon forums, but they are difficult, and I think people are lying to you if they tell you something different.
I'd love to be able to sit down and go, today I'm going to design a puzzle. It just doesn't work that way for me. I wish it did. I just keep a notebook, and I think if you pay attention, life will just throw stuff at you and you'll just write it down. And I mean, you can be standing next to, one time I was standing next to this huge pillar waiting to pick up my brother at an airport. And just standing there, I could visualize a really cool puzzle popped into my head just doing that. So that's kind of how it works. I'm an old Dungeons and Dragons player, so I've got a well of experience there of fun monsters that people want to interact with in battle. And sometimes we come up with new ones too that we designed from whole cloth. Some of it has to do with what kind of animatronics we're able to find and what are available through. Usually we use like the haunt industry to get our animatronics. So it's really a combination of different ways to come up with those.
We have a wide variety of gaming people that come in. People who have never gamed before in their life, they walk in and wonder, what is this crazy event? And then to see their faces come out later. And then we got people who come in full regalia. They will come in troubadours singing, full metal, full hat, I mean, full on experience for them, full on immersion. That is some of the fun you see in here. For everyone who hasn't tried, please stop by. You're going to love trying out True Dungeon. Just come by, walk through the immersion, check it out, find ways to get in. We have wait lists for people, so even if you can't get in, try to come experience True Dungeon. Every year when I come back, you see the faces of the players, and that draws me back every time. I mean, you see these people come out of the adventure, and they're just giddy, they're smiling, they're laughing. You can see that they had a moment of gaming entertainment, and that's why we do it. That's why we do it every year.